Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the gritty, totally exhausting reality of what it actually takes to survive as a visual artist in 2026. Forget the old cliché of just putting paint to canvas, you know? Building a successful career right now is basically a multi-front war of endurance.
We've got to start by shattering a really damaging societal myth. Artist Ted Hammer hits the nail on the head, pointing out this dangerous, romantic notion of the starving artist or the effortless genius. It's incredibly harmful, mostly because it actively justifies keeping creators in poverty. It totally masks the absolute logistical nightmare of what it actually takes to just keep a roof over their heads while making art.
You know, society loves to picture an artist's life as this romantic ideal, right? Like painting all day in a massive, sunlit loft. But the actual 2026 reality? It's modern artists juggling 4 different gig jobs just to pay rent, constantly filing DMCA takedowns to protect their stolen work, and endlessly chasing social media algorithms just to get a handful of views.
Section 1. The fight for space, squeezed out and shrinking. 250 square feet. A recent audit from the London Affordable Artists Studio Network revealed something shocking. The average London artist studio size has literally halved since 2020. They've dropped from 500 square feet down to a claustrophobic 200 to 250 square feet. And remember, this massive squeeze is happening while rents are absolutely soaring.
To put a real human face to this data, consider Emily Dixie Hill. She's a 23-year-old recent arts grad. And like so many in her position, she pours half of her entire income into rent just to secure a separate workspace. Why? Well, because the alternative is what she dealt with during lockdown, where her bedroom had to double as her studio. It is an absolute necessity to get a separate space just to avoid the physical hazards of, bumping into wet canvases in the dark or sleeping in a room that constantly reeks of white spirit.
So how dire are these working conditions? When artists are surveyed about what they actually need from developers, they aren't asking for luxury condos. The bare minimums, the literal bare minimums they're pleading for are doors that actually lock, a window for basic ventilation, a sink for washing up, and wheelchair access. It is a really stark look at the physical realities of the job.
Section 2. The social media treadmill, art as content.
If we look at the World Health Organization's official medical definition of burnout, it actually maps perfectly onto the everyday grind of surviving online. It starts with the sheer emotional exhaustion of this never-ending content treadmill, which then bleeds into a creeping depersonalization and cynicism toward the very platforms they have to use. And finally, it results in a severely reduced sense of accomplishment, even when they're posting relentlessly every single day.
And this brings us to a massive structural problem, what we call the double bind. Unlike a traditional 9-to-5 where you can just log off for the weekend, an artist's visibility online is directly tied to their income. If an artist unplugs for their mental health, they risk complete career suicide. Labels, galleries, and buyers literally use follower counts as a primary metric now. So they're forced to choose, stay online and burn out, or leave and lose everything.
It begs a deeply uncomfortable question. How do you create when your art is just seen as content? Really think about the intense psychological toll of taking your deeply personal, complex creative vision and having to flatten it into a trendy, 15-second piece of disposable feed content, all just to satisfy an algorithm.
Section 3. The generative AI threat, fighting the machine. Hard data from Carnegie Mellon University shows exactly how threatened professional working artists are feeling right now. There is a massive, overwhelming shift toward the negative when they're asked about job security, income, and the future of their careers. I mean, they are watching their lifelong portfolios get scraped to train models that can clone their unique, hard-earned styles in a matter of seconds.
And this has led to a bizarre, incredibly exhausting new burden. Because of AI, there's now immense anxiety and pressure on creators to constantly prove their own humanity to a deeply skeptical public. They literally have to record their every single brushstroke, essentially turning their creative process into a surveillance exercise, just to have proof that they aren't a machine. Wild, right?
But creators aren't just sitting back and taking it. They are deploying a tactical 2026 toolkit to fight back. They're actively opting out via databases like spawning, applying tools like Glaze or Nightshade to literally poison the AI scraping process, and aggressively stepping up their legal game. We're talking registering copyrights before publishing and filing relentless DMCA takedowns to protect their intellectual property.
Section 4. Systemic market inequality, the hidden discounts.
I want to hit you with a really staggering number here: 47.6%. According to data from the Center for Cultural Affairs, that is the unadjusted gender price discount for female artists based on global auction sales. To put that simply, works by women sell for nearly half the price of their male counterparts on the secondary market. Just half.
Historically, this plays out as a stubborn, decades-long penalty for simply being a woman, which is then compounded by shifting valuations based on an artist's ethnicity. While other sectors of the labor market have seen at least some convergence over the years, the gender gap in art prices has remained firmly in place. The market is clearly placing entirely different values on the exact same labor purely based on who is holding the brush.
And the gatekeeping here is absolutely severe. Women account for over 50% of visual artists and MFA graduates. So they're doing the work, they're getting the degrees, and they're building the portfolios. Yet their work constitutes only 7% of the pieces actually offered at the highly lucrative, gate-kept global auction houses. The talent pipeline is completely full, but the market actively filters them out at the highest levels.
Section 5. The cost to culture.
This all leaves us with one profound final question. Do cities actually need artists? And what is lost without them? If we continue to price out, burn out, and systematically undervalue the very people who make our world beautiful and challenge our perspectives, we are going to face a massive cultural void. Honestly, after seeing the sheer endurance required just to survive as an artist today, the real question isn't why art costs so much, it's how anyone is still making it at all.